So I took care of my sick uncle, and he ended up leaving me his cabin and $100,000 instead of my other family members. Now, they're super pissed and demanding that I give up the property because they want it for themselves. A little background. I'm 24, and my life is pretty different from the rest of my family. I didn't finish high school, but got a GED and started working as a welder and hunting guide. My family, on the other hand, is all super successful. My dad's a lawyer, my mom used to be an RN, my brothers own companies, and my sister married a lawyer. You get the picture. I'm happy they're doing well, but they can be really shallow and often put me down for my job. My mom always asks when I'm going back to school to get a real job and stuff like that. They wouldn't pay for welding school, so I worked at an auto shop to pay my own way through. They often go on vacations without me, saying I wouldn't appreciate the culture or food and other BS like that. I love them, but we've been growing apart over the years since it's clear we live in different worlds, and they have no interest in mine. Anyway, my uncle Mike, technically my grandpa's brother, and I were really close. We used to go hunting together when I was young, and even though he worked in law, we bonded over our love for the outdoors. About a year ago, Uncle Mike was diagnosed with cancer and his health declined quickly. I took a lot of time off work to care for him because no one else in the family wanted to deal with it. His wife died 15 years ago, and he didn't have any kids. One day he asked if taking care of him was hurting me financially. I was honest and told him I was cutting back on work hours, but that I loved him more than any of my other family members, so it was worth it. The next time I visited, he told me he was changing his will to leave me his hunting cabin, which is actually a small house on over 70 acres, with power and running water, and $100,000 to fix it up and start my life. The rest of his estate would be donated to causes he cared about. Mike asked to be taken out of hospice to die at home with his dog, who will come live with me once he's gone. My family has been talking about how much money Mike has and making plans for his hunting cabin, turning it into a summer vacation home or funding a big trip to Europe after he dies. They have no idea about his actual plans. I know they'll freak out when they find out the cabin and money are going to me, but I don't want to be around for that drama. I plan to use the money to renovate the cabin and start a small welding business. I'm seriously considering cutting them out of my life after Mike is gone because their greed has really turned me off, even though Mike always said family should be everything. Update. Mike passed away on August 24th, 2024, peacefully in his sleep. His last waking hours were with me, his dog Maisie, and the nurse. He's buried next to his wife. One of his last words to me was, "We had a pretty good run, didn't we?" The whole will situation was both hilarious and a great relief. Mike had changed it 3 years ago and never told anyone. He left me the cabin, money, his guns, his dog, her stuff, his fishing pole, tackle, and a few mementos. He left my dad, who always complained about contractors, a bag of old hand tools. My sister got a box of wine glasses, and one of my brothers got a drawer full of pens for his legal career. He also gave us all enough money for a round of beer in his honor. Watching my family go from fake sadness to horror was quite the trip. My mom kicked over a pot of flowers, my dad stared out the window, and my oldest brother exploded in anger once we got home. They weren't as mad about the cabin and money I got, but the bigger assets that were being donated drove them insane. They took most of their anger out on the main organization Mike left his estate to. I haven't spoken much to them since Mike's passing. There are still legal issues to work out, which could take up to a year. The cabin is locked up, and I set up cameras and an alarm. I'm slowly moving in, balancing between the cabin and my apartment until my lease is up. It's dated, so I'm working on renovations. I blocked everyone except my mom in case of emergencies. After a few days of her complaining, she quieted down. Then, last week, she started blowing up my phone, claiming it was an emergency. Turns out, they want me to give the cabin to my sister because she's thinking about starting a family and wants to raise her kids holistically. I told my mom that my sister and her husband have double incomes and a lovely house in another state. If they want to live in the country, they can damn well afford it themselves. So here's what went down. My sister wanted me to give her my land, but I wasn't about to just hand it over. Then she suggested buying it from me for $200,000, which is way less than what it's worth. I said no, and suddenly I'm the selfish jerk who doesn't care about her dreams of raising her kids in the countryside. She threw all sorts of guilt trips at me, saying I'd be dead to her if I didn't help, and that our late Uncle Mike would have wanted me to give the cabin and land to her. It should have hurt more hearing all that, but honestly, it just pissed me off. It felt like they were trying to manipulate me into giving up what my great uncle left me, and that made me angry rather than sad. My sister even called me crying, saying it was her and her husband's dream to raise their kids on Mike's land. I almost felt bad for saying no, but thinking back, she never mentioned this dream before, so it seems pretty convenient now. Since then, they've been blowing up my email and social media, trying to get me to sell or give the land and cabin to my sister. Despite my best efforts, it was becoming unbearable. I even deleted my social media and moved to a new job, which they don't know about. But they do know where my house is. While I was at work, my mom and sister showed up, knocking on doors, trying to open the side door, and peeking through windows. This is all caught on my doorbell camera, where you can hear my mom telling my sister not to touch anything so I can't sue. I'm seriously thinking about putting up a locking gate because right now, it just latches. I've blocked them on everything and am considering changing my phone number. But it's a hassle because I have to notify so many people about the change. About 2 weeks ago, I came back to my apartment to find my parents waiting for me. They confronted me about how heartbroken my sister is that her future kids won't grow up in the country. Honestly, I'm kind of scared they might camp out on the property until I cave in. I put up no trespassing signs and hope that's enough. One of my brothers even drove by recently and snapped me a picture of my street, so he's keeping tabs. Other than that drama, I'm doing well. Maisie, Mike's golden retriever, is doing great too. She's older but still super active and playful. I'm hoping to find someone closer to my home who can help take care of her. I'll ask around at the vets to see if anyone is up for it. Regarding my relationship with the family, yeah, I'm adopted, which adds another layer to the complexity. The property situation is tricky because, on paper, I don't own it yet. It can take years to sort out the will, so legally, I don't even think I could sell it to them if I wanted to. Plus, my sister and mom had never even been to the land until they showed up unannounced. As for Mike's dog Maisie, she's a sweetheart and doing just fine. I'm looking for someone nearby who can help take care of her, because she's older and needs a bit of extra attention. I'll ask the vets around here if they know anyone. Now, on to my relationship with my husband. I'm 26 and he's 27, and we've been married for a year. Recently, I found out I was pregnant, which was a surprise but a happy one for me. I've always wanted to be a mom. We hadn't been using protection, so it wasn't that shocking to me. But when I told him the news, he freaked out and demanded a paternity test, accusing me of cheating. I was completely shocked because I've never cheated on him and never gave him any reason to think I would. We got into a massive argument, and he said if I had nothing to hide, I should just take the test. I was hurt that he doubted my loyalty so much. I agreed to the test but told him I didn't want a child with someone who didn't trust me. We haven't spoken since that argument, and he's at work now. I talked to a friend, and she said he was out of line but that I shouldn't have said what I did. Apparently, he had a reason to feel suspicious, but I can't figure out what it is. Some people suggested he might have had a secret vasectomy that failed, but when I asked him if he had one or was infertile, he just dismissed it without a solid reason. So, that's where things stand. I can't believe he thinks I cheated, and I'm trying to navigate this mess while figuring out what to do next. Hey everyone, so I've decided to call my current state neutral because I honestly don't know what else to label it. When I told my partner I was pregnant, I thought he'd be cool with it, like he said he would be. Turns out, he changed his mind and didn't bother to tell me. Just to clear the air, I don't have issues with guys wanting paternity tests. What really bugged me was him flat out accusing me of cheating without any proof. Update time. It's August 23rd, 2014. This isn't some wild update where we got the test back and he suddenly revealed some secret vasectomy or whatever. But it's kind of a big deal for me, so bear with me if this gets a bit long. Thanks so much for all the kind words and advice. It's been super helpful, even the criticism. It made me think hard about how I handled the whole situation. Also, sorry I didn't reply to many comments. There were just so many, and it got a bit overwhelming. So, after I posted last time, he came home from work. I made him his favorite dinner and let him chill for a bit before bringing up the topic again. I told him I was okay with the paternity test, but it hurt that he would accuse me of cheating because I really love him and would hate to make him feel that way. I also apologized for what I said. I asked if he was just overwhelmed or scared by the news, and that's why he accused me. He said no, that wasn't it. His biggest concern was genuinely the paternity thing. He then told me he wouldn't talk about anything until after the test was done. When I asked if he was sure, he practically yelled at me to drop it. So I did. Things have been super tense since. Reading through all your comments, a lot of you thought he was cheating. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he thought he was infertile or something. But I had this bad gut feeling, so I finally checked his phone while he was sleeping. I really didn't want to be that person, but my gut has never let me down. And guess what? He's cheating on me with my friend, no less. I'd never been suspicious of their relationship before, but your comments made me realize her reaction was a red flag. I went through their texts and found out it's been going on for a few months, starting after we got married. The texts were nasty, saying stuff like he regretted not using a condom and didn't want a kid with me. He even told her he'd rather be with her. I screenshotted the messages and sent them to myself, then deleted the texts and the screenshots from his phone and his laptop. From his texts, it's clear he doesn't think he's sterile. He should have been more careful and knew I wasn't on birth control. He decided not to use a condom, not me. Right now, I'm planning to get the paternity test done first before confronting him about the cheating. I want to gather my thoughts and maybe seek some advice before making any final moves. I'm also planning to get an STD test, and I'm considering an abortion because I don't want my first pregnancy to be a nightmare when it should be a joyful time. Thanks to everyone who congratulated me, it really means a lot. The next update will probably be after the paternity test or whenever I feel like I need to update you all. Take care.